Hello and welcome back to the Make It Happen podcast. This is season 2, episode 6. But if you are new here, then allow me to say hi. My name is Melanie Moreno. I am the host of this podcast, but I'm also a creator. My goal is to provide expanding content here on the podcast through stories of people's experiences. You can also find similar stories from my own experiences on my blog, melmakesithappen.com, and over on my Instagram page. Most recently, I also launched a mini ebook filled with 30 days of journaling prompts for self-discovery to help you dig a little bit deeper in self-work. Something that I've been enjoying about the podcast in general is how I can give real-time updates with you guys. Okay, well, maybe not real-time, but very current updates, I should say, on what's going on with me. And I can go into more detail than I would if I was making an Instagram story or just a written post. The whole listening to a podcast experience inspires a level of intimacy, I feel, that is unmatched on any other medium. Would you agree? The last 2 weeks felt like they were just crawling by. I could write it off as simply being the January blues, but I know the feelings I've had are about more than just the weather or the holiday season being over. I've been excited about the intentions I have for this year and for myself in terms of personal growth and finding my happy equilibrium. And within that, allowing myself to slow down. I've noticed over the past 2 months that my resting state is anything but restful. I've been waking up with a mental flood of items on my to-do list, or simply thoughts bombarding my headspace. Plus, my body gets tensed up. I'll wake up in a sweat with neck tension and my fists are clenched. If I happen to be waking up to an alarm, then, oh boy, you can just add a racing heart to that list too. I'll try to wake myself up before my alarm whenever possible, but if it goes off, it's really hard to get my mind and my body to settle down. After waking up, I'd feel rushed to get my morning routine done, instead of just enjoying it and grounding myself, which is the whole purpose of having a morning routine for me. I'd just feel agitated and antsy to get on with the next tasks. I love moving my body in the morning, so exercise is a must, but when I'm rushed, I either forego the mindful movement and do something like a quick hit workout, or I literally just don't have time and I'll skip it. Either way, the situation puts my body into this majorly rushed mode. So while I've been noticing that these changes are happening in myself, I hadn't really considered the alternatives. I've been talking about my TMJ, neck, and shoulder pain for the past few months, and I'm getting chiropractic treatment for that right now, but I do want to also have techniques in my pocket so that I can help myself. The pain that I have is tight and knotted, and I know it's due to stress. Knowing that, I've been looking at my daily habits with a magnifying glass to see where it is that I'm creating the stress. As much as I want to blame my wake-up alarm for putting my body in this prolonged state of fight or flight mode, that's not the only problem. Our bodies run on an internal clock. They're very trainable, actually. Just like you can train yourself to feel sleepy at a certain time at night, or to go to the bathroom at certain times of the day, whatever, or any other habits that you may have, stress can be trained too. My body has been experiencing a state of panic first thing in the morning, in the evening around 7 or 8 o'clock, and then also at random times during the day. Often it's after eating a meal, but sometimes it's also during the afternoon slump, or anti-slump in my case, because I don't go down, I sort of go up in a panicked sort of way. Anyway, I think all these descriptions are making me sound like a mess with no intentions of exaggeration. I have felt like a mess. These are the patterns that I've observed in my body itself, but I haven't even named thoughts or tasks that have also been on my mind. And adding the mind stuff to the body stuff is just, that all increases my stress response. So you might be thinking, well, why are you doing this to yourself? Just calm down. And yeah, obviously I would if I could, but I'm also someone who needs specific steps. It's taken some investigating, but I've pinpointed a few things, well, 3 things, that I can do to calm down. I don't want to bore anyone with the details about my various health concerns, but in case this sounds like something that you too may be dealing with, or if you ever hear a friend talking about similar symptoms, perhaps my experience can be helpful. So right now I'm making an active effort not to do intense exercise. While high intensity exercise is great for boosting your metabolism and helping burn fat and improve cardiovascular health, it is not beneficial if your body never returns to a resting state post-exercise. I've also been dealing with what I think is a biological sugar addiction over the past several months. I could give a whole speech on this, but basically sugar is a stimulant and in moderation, it's no biggie, but in the sensitive state of my body, it's not helping me, so I'm trying to limit added sugar. The last thing is just breathing. So many times I've caught myself holding my breath, especially when I'm stressed out, but those are the times when exhaling is so important. Taking deep inhales and exhales is extremely healing for the nervous system and bringing the stress response down. So that's where I'm at. This is what I am working on. I probably shouldn't wait so long to do an update next time. This all actually ties into today's episode too. Today's guest is Caroline Franco. She is a health and fitness guru with a zest for life and a balanced approach to self-improvement. I've spent a couple of years engaging in the health and wellness space on Instagram, and I've got to say, a lot of accounts start to blur together. The intentions get lost when someone posts photos of their meal as if it's obligatory and doesn't make any effort to involve their audience. Or if they just post a photo of them posing next to a cool backdrop with a caption about the week or an emoji. Okay, I'm not trying to throw shade, but I just need a little bit more substance if I'm going to be scrolling on Instagram. So Caroline originally caught my eye a while back because of her workout posts. Some fitness accounts are too hardcore for me. Daily gym and protein smoothie photos don't feel like real life. And I personally like my feed to feel like it's inspiring but also relatable. Caroline posts workout moves and pretty food photos, but also simple selfies with captions about her mental health or tips for when you're in the midst of change and struggle. I love how approachable her brand of wellness is. In this episode, we talk about her Roman Italian roots, which have influenced her approach to life and the pace that she operates at. Her younger years weren't always so filled with lemons and sunshine, but she opens up about lemons in a good way, let me just say. I think lemons are sometimes used with a negative connotation, but I use it in a very happy way in this case. So her younger years weren't always so filled with lemons and sunshine, but she opens up about her experiences that have influenced who she is today. It is the Make It Happen podcast, so you guys know I love getting the lowdown on the nitty-gritty details and actionable steps to get from point A to point B. And Caroline gives us some exclusive tips on how to create tangible steps for goal setting and how to actually make them stick. Please welcome Caroline Franco to the Make It Happen podcast. With the rise of non-toxic products in the beauty and skincare industry, it's hard to find what's worth trying. There's one brand that I've been using for over a year now that I have got to tell you guys about. That is Frey Skincare. Their company started with the launch of a specially formulated sunscreen for active lifestyles that won't leave you greasy or break you out. But they've since expanded to a wide range of products from tinted moisturizers to facial cleansers and oils, a line of body products, and most notably their Frey 123 set, which is the perfect place to start if you're new to their products. I'd also recommend picking up their Detox Me face mask. It has cleansing microbeads made from jojoba oil that are perfect for a light exfoliation without stripping your skin. It also leaves my face feeling so fresh and supple after using it. I love it. Frey's team of dermatological scientists have formulated each product with the rejuvenating benefits of argan oil to hydrate, protect, and exfoliate your skin and leave you glowing or your money back. Plus, as part of their give back mission, for every skincare set that they sell, they plant an argan tree to help replenish the endangered argan forest in Morocco and support the women who harvest the argan oil. To get the glowy skin you've been seeking and a risk-free trial of their famous Frey 123 set, head to freyskincare.com/MelanieM and use the code MelanieM at checkout for a wicked discount. That's freyskincare.com/MelanieM. So, hi, Caroline.
Hi, Melanie.
Let me officially say welcome to the Make It Happen podcast. Thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I'm really grateful.
So, I have been following your Instagram for a long time, and I feel like I've just admired how much you can create. First, I think I was interested in your workouts. I started following you for those. And then I was like, wow, she has really cool travel pictures and she does food and like you just do it all. But
I try.
for those who aren't familiar with you, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you?
Sure. My name is Caroline. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I am born and raised, lived here my whole life. I went to Ohio State where I got a BA in both communications and holistic medicine, and I minored in Italian. So that's just a few of my passions. I love to chat. I love to help. I love to be there for people and talk, be a friend, because that is a lot of what I missed growing up in my life. I love holistic medicine. I love the fact that food is our medicine. I love to move my body. So I'm into all things health and wellness. And I am half Italian. My dad is from Rome. So those roots run deep in me and it's really reflected. I get to go to Italy every year to visit my family. So it's a huge part of who I am, the Mediterranean lifestyle, the Mediterranean diet. It can get super overwhelming in this health and world with all the diets, but that's really the one I stand for. And I am just all about inspiring a zest for life. That is what I believe in, that I just want to help people create a energy that's intoxicating to them for themselves and for everybody else to fulfill their purpose and just be super happy. So that's just a little bit about me, and I do that through Instagram, and then I've also been dabbling into YouTube and just all that kind of stuff. So creating a brand, and that's me.
So it sounds like many of the things that you're interested in right now, they've been long-term passions or long-term interests because of maybe the way you grew up. Can you tell us about what your upbringing was like?
Sure. So I grew up in a very happy, normal family. I was very blessed growing up, and about seventh grade, my world, as dramatic as it sounds, people who've had divorce in their life know what it's like, but my world felt like it was pulled from underneath me, or whatever that phrase is. But, anyways, my parents got divorced when I was about 13. So it was an age where they didn't think I knew what was going on, but I definitely did have a grasp of what was going on. And so it was really, really hard for me because I am an Aries. I'm a type A. I need everything to have its routine. I need everything to go from A, B, C in like an order. So when life was super crazy for the first time in my life, I couldn't control anything. So I could control myself. I couldn't control my parents. I couldn't control my life, how it was changing, except for the things that I consumed and the things I did. So I got super obsessive seventh, eighth grade with eating, working out. I would run every single day because like that's the only form of workout I knew. I wasn't a huge sports girl. So there's another like thing. I never had a group I belonged in because I never did sports. I never felt called to a sport. So my first dose of anorexia came when I was like in eighth grade. And then things got better when I started high school and they came back because we all know how high school can be kind of hard with the cliques and the trying to fit in and all of that kind of stuff. So my eating disorders came back and forth in high school. My body image was terrible, absolutely terrible. And then when I got to college, I kind of was better about, I found a healthy version of health and fitness. I finally discovered how much food is amazing. Food is not the enemy. I think I finally found food freedom after, 4 or 5 years of anorexia. That's how long it took. Everyone's journey is completely different. And that's something I've learned. And looking back, I saw how much people tried to help me, but I realized like everyone's on their own journey, and it takes your own amount of time to get through that stuff. And then I also found like a healthier version of working out too. I wasn't so obsessive with just, focusing on body parts just to have a perfect body. I learned that working out is really just a way to treat your body well, not to make it shapeshift it to have this perfect image that we see all the time. But then when I got to college, I faced the whole purpose. What's your purpose in life? What's my career? What am I called to do? And it brought on so much anxiety. It brought on like, okay, here I am at this massive university. If anyone's ever heard of Ohio State, it's so big, and you get like, there's so many options for a major, and you're just paralyzed by choice because there's so many options. So I struggled with finding a career, and I got anxiety from it because it felt like everyone else knew. And through all of that journey growing up, I'm in a place now where I look back at all of those different challenges that I faced, and I said, if I could have a friend right by my side during all of those challenges, wow, would have made the world of difference. So that is the person I want to be today for everyone else, is that friend who feels like they don't know their purpose and they're having anxiety attacks, or they hate, they get on social media and then they feel like so bad about themselves or confused about health and fitness. Like, I want to be that person. So that was kind of how I got to where I am today.
That's wild to be able to look back and recognize that the common thread between everything that was going on, you felt like you needed a friend, basically.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm like blessed. I had my mom, or I had, a lot of older figures in my life who wanted to take care of me. But I think we so often wish we had someone on our same like age group. So that's who, like, I love to talk to everybody, but that's who like I really want to talk to, because I feel like, you think when you're in it really deep, you're like, oh, no one understands, no one really gets it. But when it's someone who's been through it personally and who's closer to your age, it really starts to hit you, and it's like that one like 100th time you finally hear it, you do actually hear it, like it changes you. So that's that.
And how can things actually begin to change? I know that this is something you're advocating for, but like, how do we open up that conversation so that people don't feel like they need to keep it down and can talk about whether it's what's going on in their family or finances or whatever's stressing them out, anything? How can we open up discussion so that there is, not a need to turn to these sort of obsessive maybe tendencies or unhealthy behaviors?
That is a fantastic question, because it's really hard when social media is such a perfect world to bring any negativity. Most often that's, not loved or literally liked or that kind of thing. And it's also hard because everyone thinks there's this one moment, and I get frustrated because I think about it and I want that one moment when, you know, my anxiety will go away, my eating habits will get better, that one moment when I'm going to just know exactly what I want to do in life and what my purpose is. But it's really frustrating, but we have to end up accepting that it's never just this one moment. It's a ripple, it's a chain reaction, and it's just step by step, little by little. It all comes together and we start to slowly face these challenges, work through these challenges, and come out on top of these challenges. And it's never, ever, ever done alone. So I think that is like one of the biggest things we have to hold on to when we're in the midst of any of the challenges we're going through, is that we are human beings, and it's, been proven that even if you're the most introverted introvert, we need human connection. Our mind can't handle everything we're going through. We need to let it out. And I often think about it as a sickness. Like when we have a common cold, we know not to go out and play in the snow. So when we have, a bunch of distress because we're scared about paying bills or an exam or something bigger or smaller, whatever it's going on in our world, there's acknowledgement to every kind of struggle you're going through. There's no such thing as big or small. Whatever you're going through is real. When we have that, we don't, like, if we hold it in, that's like us having a cold and playing out in the snow. So it's so incredibly healthy. And I think we don't want to spread negativity, but this is something so different than negativity, is when we let out our thoughts and our feelings and what we're really going through. And I always during my challenges, I was always scared to call my mom or my friend, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to complain to them. I don't want them to think I'm a mess or I'm struggling and then they're going to try to just solve my problems. But I think the best possible way to open this conversation more and to let out our struggles is, one, just to do it, to just, find that confidence within, that you're not complaining, that you're not being negative, you're not being a quote unquote depressed person by letting out your struggles. You're being strong, you're being courageous, and you're being healthy. So just believe in that. And then the other way to do it is to have a friend is to be a friend. So if you notice someone in your life not smiling as much lately, you notice someone, not glowing like they often say as much lately, if you're there for them, hopefully, it happens very often that they'll be there for you. And so you guys can help each other in hard times, because unfortunately, misery loves companies. If we can notice struggles within others, then they can help us through our own struggles. So it's all about just believing you have value, you have worth, and you are allowed to share what you're going through, because it makes you so real. People don't connect as much as we think they do. No one's life has ever changed because they scrolled past this beautiful body on Instagram, this really nice car and beautiful house someone owned. No one was ever really impacted by that. People are impacted when you're so real, when you touch someone's heart, because they get to feel that feeling of, oh, wow, I've been through that too. Oh my gosh, there's someone else out there who has such bad anxiety like I do. I'm not alone. So that, if we hold on to that and remind ourselves that when we start our day, that, being real is one of the best things we could be, and being helpful is one of the best things we could be. Showing off the perfectness of our life, little instances of our life that's perfect, won't get us very far. I mean, we all know that, we all don't know this, but social media is kind of downfalling, especially on the app Instagram, which you said that's where you found me. A lot of influencers and creators are hating on the algorithm. And I think it's funny that one of my best posts in the past month, I didn't even put any pressure on myself. I just was talking from my heart, was a transformation photo of how I've gained a lot of weight in the past few months. And it was so loved. And I didn't even see it coming. But now I fully understand why it was so loved. So I think hopefully that answers your question. Sorry, it was a little long of an answer.
No, I love it. Yeah, that's a curious thing to me, because people do tend to post the highlights. That's what Instagram has been known for. It's the highlights reel, right? But personally, I crave that deeper thought. I like going on there and seeing people writing about their feelings, or writing about something that's maybe kind of hard, but this is the way life is. We have hard things going on, and it's not just, margaritas next to like this fancy resort or whatever they're doing. Like,
Definitely.
I think that's so important to show that realness too. If you think back to your younger self, maybe like the 13-year-old who was dealing with her parents' divorce, has it always been, I guess you mentioned that working out and developing an eating disorder, these were things that you turned to as a way to control yourself because you felt like you couldn't control things outside of you. But what have you learned to maybe since then open up to instead of controlling these parts of you? Because once you let go of something, more is able to come in, right?
Absolutely.
So what have you been able to open up to?
What have I been able to open to? That's a great question. I would say a lot of relationships in my life. That is one thing I definitely look back on, and I see myself in high school. I was grabbing, like not literally, but I was like grabbing onto anyone who was popular, anyone who seemed important, or anyone who gave me any attention. I held on to that, and I held it so hard. I almost, not like, again, not literally, but metaphorically, like I was just always holding on to like my best, like what I thought were my best friends and all of that stuff. I was holding on to any boy that gave me any attention because I was so not loving myself at all. And I was, like, again, all metaphorically, but I was like feeding off of any attention anyone else gave me because there wasn't enough love for myself. And I've learned that, the people in your life who you surround yourself with is utterly important. And now I've come to terms with my goal every day is to be the best human that I could be for me and for everyone else around me, and to be a friend and, all of that. And if people come back to me, fabulous. If people don't, I take a deep breath in and try to let it go. I have had a lot of relationships in my life that haven't stuck around or anything like that. And I've always, like I said, growing up, I never had a friend clique because I switched around from private to public school when I went to high school. So all these kids had been best friends since like kindergarten. And here I was like a total new girl. And then so I kind of, and then I never had sports. So I never had a place of quote unquote belonging that's so very typical. I didn't join a group, I didn't do any of that. So I'm always been longing for relationships, but now I just, as soon, and it's funny though, because I've completely noticed that as soon as I just let it go and felt comfortable with being exactly who I am, unafraid to post anything online, be myself in person, all of that, do exactly what I want to do, I noticed that people started to come back to me, and people who, I knew growing up follow me, support me. And it's just, and then some of the best relationships of my life as I speak today that I still have came to me as soon as I let go of feeling like I needed people to fill in that void of not loving myself. So I've let go a lot of holding on to things that don't serve me, or just I've opened up to whatever comes. And something I'm working on right now is my business, and that I want as an entrepreneur, if anyone out there is wanting to be one or is one, knows nothing happens overnight. And so you have to just do your best work and go to bed knowing that's exactly what you did, and that everything else is up to a matter of the universe and how things work, and when the time is right, it'll happen. But you every day just have to put in the work. So it's really hard for me because I was so used to school where you did an assignment, you got a grade, and then that is that. You get, that satisfaction. But now that I have my business, it's not as easy as you do the work, you put it in, turn it in, and then you get a result from it. You see immediate satisfaction. With Instagram, social media, you put in the work, you put up the post, and then you get immediate, results. Right now, building a business, you have to let that go and just say the results will come when you're ready for them. But you don't really ever know when you're ready. The universe knows. So those are two kind of examples of letting go and just holding on, not squeezing and suffocating.
Did you have models growing up, like other people who were entrepreneurs, or maybe people in your family, anyone who kind of had their own business? How'd you get the idea to start your own?
That is a great question. So, my dad was an inspiration for me, definitely, as far as the term I like to use is grit, definitely not grind. I think grit is a better explanation of something I strive for every day, because I can only imagine my mom met him in college while she was studying abroad. So, for him to pick up his whole life and move to America, where he had a fine career in Italy, and then to come to America and start over, that shows that he was willing to say, like, I have something good, but I have the possibility to get something better. And I'm willing to start from zero for that opportunity. And I'm sure, I don't know, we're not super close, but I don't know if he got pushback from his family or friends or anything like, oh, that's crazy, whatever, that you would give that up. But that's always been an inspiring thought to me, that he worked hard to start a different life in the middle of his life, and that it shows me that you can be at any age, at any point of wealth, and you can still have plenty of time and know, you can face those fears of trying something different without knowing the outcome. Because I'm sure when he made that decision, he didn't think today would be where he is today. So that was always inspiring. After the divorce, my mom became a holistic health coach, which was super inspiring to me. We even had, during high school, we had our own little granola bar business. It was super small, just farmers markets. But that was a taste for me in entrepreneurship of like, oh, like I get to create something and then I get to go share it with the world. And that just fueled me. And I didn't understand it. So that I never really knew, I never really thought about entrepreneurship till my second like half of my career in college. In the beginning, all it really was just creation and sharing that creation. It was an outlet to create and share, and never saw my Instagram or my social media platform becoming anything more than just I finally have a voice. Because growing up, I didn't have that voice. Now, like, because I didn't have a friend group, I didn't belong to anything. So now that I belong to social media and I could share my thoughts, my feelings, my creations, my passions, I learned about entrepreneurship after that. And I was like, wow, I'm the personality type that can get things done. I preferred online classes in college, and almost everyone I talked to hated online classes because they kind of needed that structure. But I realized I don't want structure. I want to go explore. I want to go do things. I want to go do. I can't just sit and learn. I have to do it to learn it. And that everything led me to learning that I had entrepreneurship traits and tendencies. Granted, no one is a perfect entrepreneur. There's always even though I have those tendencies, I definitely am not super savvy with finance. So that has been a struggle with starting my own business, is how to work all of that out. And then also my aunt, she had her own business too. She opened up her own store in Columbus. So I guess I did have a lot of, you made me realize that I did have a lot of influence and mentor or role models in my life.
A quick interruption from this fascinating conversation to let you guys know about a tool that you can use to deepen your connection to your head, heart, and soul. I created a set of self-discovery journal prompts to help guide you through questions that will get you thinking about what matters to you and provide a foundation for a journaling practice. These are so helpful if you're new to journaling and want a little bit of guidance, or if you just want to tap in further with your vibrant inner self. There are a total of 30 journaling prompts that you can print out and work on for 30 days straight of daily journaling, or you can answer them at your leisure. I've also priced them super affordably because I think they're going to be very helpful, and I want to make sure that they're accessible for everyone. Head to my website, melmakesithappen.com, or click the link in the show notes to download your copy of the 30 Days of Self-Discovery Journaling Prompts today. Can you talk a little bit about the financial aspect of starting your own business? I feel like that's a really cool thing to talk about because it's one of those things that no one really talks about too much, but I think we all need to talk more about money and finances and how it's like totally okay to want things to be profitable. I feel like there's a bit of a stigma around, oh, don't talk about wanting money
Definitely.
or like selling
Oh my
things.
gosh, yeah. So my relationship with money is, let's be honest, it's not the most perfect thing at all. I'm working on it. I have done so much research, like how on earth are these influencers, YouTubers, bloggers, how are they making this money? How is it consistent? What is their most it's very much, even though we are very well into knowing that social media is a moneymaker, we still, as you just said, are confused on how are these people making that income. It's still a big mystery. And definitely I've seen multiple different paths taken. I've watched closely because I am very aware of money, in the sense that no, it'll never ever be the thing that makes you happy. But with that said, it definitely, as someone who has high anxiety, it relieves a lot of stress and anxiety, knowing that you can pay for things, knowing that you can get around in life comfortably is huge. So I will never ever say that money will give you happiness, but it can relieve a lot of that stress for you to get to a level of happiness. It's just kind of a fact with the way our world is. And that's called a conditional goal, that once I get this money, once I have this body, once whatever happens, then I'll be happy. That is, something we all think, and that is complete and utter BS. It's never true. But I do completely agree that money is necessary, and I think it is a language. It's not something to be You're not supposed to, like, for example, I like to think of it a language because, like, the more you curse, the more you disrespect your money or have anxiety towards money or scared about never making money or use it and blow it off, just like cussing, it comes back to bite you or something like that, you know? And I think if you say nice things, if you use it wisely, if you're calm with it, if you're smart about it in the way you communicate, so the way you use your money, it kind of will come back to you. So I think, like to think money isn't a language, money is an exchange. I think people definitely, like, I had, before I started my business when I graduated college, I had huge savings with, like, you know, because I worked my butt off and I never really spent a lot of it. And it was just sitting there and I realized, you know, I have passions and I could feel really safe by letting my savings get bigger and bigger and bigger and feel really miserable by never ever following my passions. Or I could use my money as a language instead of just letting it sit there and exchange it back and forth and possibly, you know, spend money to one day make money. I don't believe money is just meant to sit there and you're supposed to save it and save it and save it. I believe you're meant to go experience it, because what good is a coffin lined with dollar bills going to do for you? And as opposed to memories, like, that's a memory. That's the thing I always say to me, or say in my head, because my mom taught me that. She's like, okay, would you rather have a memory of this place that you visited in Paris, or would you rather have a stack of hundreds next to your face in a coffin? Like, as like scary as that is, sometimes that's what we need to, like, shake us up a little bit and be like, what the heck are you stressing about? Like, why are you so, like, you know, the relationship with money is something I think everyone, not everyone, but is something a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, can get a little thrown off with. And how entrepreneurship is not a moneymaker by any means. I have learned that, and it's a difficult lesson to learn. I launched my first product ever. When was it? Like 3 months ago. Sorry, in November 1st, I launched my first ever product. It was a book. I love that book. I'm very proud of it, but it wasn't, let's just say, a New York Times bestseller by any means. It was definitely not. And it's so okay. And I definitely had my freakouts. I had my crying. I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to have to give up all my passions? But what I did was, if I'm being completely honest, is I was a part of a world, a social media world, and I started to freak out because I'm like, everyone's launching an ebook, everyone's launching a workout guide, everyone's launching a website, everyone's doing something. I need to do something. I need to do something. And I kind of, now granted, I put so much work and time into this book, and it's good. It is fantastic. Let me put that plug in there. But I'm saying that just because I wanted to say that I also at the same time didn't choose the best path for me with my first ever product. I chose the path of scarcity, in the sense that, yes, I created a good product, but it wasn't totally what I should have done as my first step. But that's what money does to you sometimes. It scares you. So you do something that you're not listening to yourself anymore. You're not, you know, you're going to go faster than you should, and choose it and make a decision that isn't the right one because you're in a place of scarcity. Had I been in a place of, okay, they're all cutting each other, you know, they're all at each other's throats to launch a product, I'm going to listen to me and who I am, and I'm going to do the best thing for me and my brand. That probably would have been the better move. It would have been more on brand. It would have been maybe a smaller product instead of my first ever product being something kind of big that kind of confused everybody. Instead, I should have launched maybe a smaller product, kind of eased everyone into the idea that I'm just transferring into this brand. So that's something, you know, I recommend for anyone who is an entrepreneur, that, you know, it can seem super scary that everyone's out there just look at them launching this and doing that. They're so great. They have so much going on. Ignore that. You know, don't get jealous. Definitely acknowledge how awesome they're doing and know that you're on your own path. You're not following theirs, you're following yours. So that is something that I think isn't really talked about. I think it just looks like, you know, everyone just, the more I get on Instagram, the more I hear all of these like personal brands keep launching stuff, because I think they're all like fighting for attention because of how the algorithm has changed social media. And the other thing to know is, you know, your first product, no matter what, won't probably be the best product you ever make, or won't be the best seller, or won't be the one that makes you financially stable. It is growing pains. That's when it comes to entrepreneurship, starting your own business, all of that. It definitely, it's not gonna, like, you just gotta be patient. You got to literally grit. Like, if you know you want to have your own successful product, business, whatever one day, you have to know that it's not going to be overnight by any means. You have to give yourself grace and know that, I heard a story once of someone who was interviewed and everyone was asking her, how did your first book become a bestseller? And she's like, oh, no, this is the 10th book. Like, no, this is, I've been at, like, and then, but no one knew that.
Wow.
And I mean, then that, I give her credit for admitting that, because no one even knew that it was her 10th book. But she's like, no, I've been writing forever. So it's just, everyone, you have no idea what chapter everyone's on and how many failures they had. So just stay true to you, and all of a sudden the money will come in. If you're launching a product because you're doing it for the money, oh, it'll never do well. And if it does, it'll last only short term, because the goal is always for long term. You want long term revenue and income. If you're doing it just to make a sale, to make a buck, people can feel that. It's like so odd, but I promise, like, people can feel other people's like value. So does that answer that question at all?
Yeah. That's a really
Thank
cool
you.
way of wording things. Wow. I'm also a fan of watching or reading about celebrities or just big figures, how they've come to be who they are now. And it just reminded me of what you said about the interview. Yeah, so many people put in
Yes, they
years and
do.
years of work into something, and then you hear about them one day and they're kind of
Right.
instantly famous, but to them, they're like, well, I've been here for 30 years and
Right,
no one's paid
exactly. And that
attention.
is super motivating, because I think it's really hard to put in work and so much work and be like, am I getting any results? When am I going to get results? And who knew that, like, had you, like, let's say you gave up, that the next day would have been the day that it finally came all together. Like, that's something that, like, you can so get inspired by, that, every day when you feel like at the end of the day, like, did I do enough? Am I ever going to get it? Am I ever going to get close to finally, like, this brand coming together? Everyone's doubting me. Everyone's asking me if I'm going to go back and get a job, blah, blah, blah. But had you known, if you'd given up, that, like, if you didn't give up, that the next day would be the day you made it, not forever, but in that instance. So, yeah.
So, how do you go about setting goals for yourself in terms of considering what motivates you and how to go about that? I think goal setting is sometimes perceived as a complicated process, and others are just like, go do it. And I don't think either ends of those spectrums
Right.
are very helpful for people.
No.
So, what are the actionable steps that you use for goal setting?
Goal setting is, I like to think about it like, okay, so you say you have a goal. Let's differentiate a goal between a wish. Because if you look up the definition of a wish, which I did earlier, because I'm actually doing a workshop on goal setting in a few weeks, but a wish is actually a thought that you have that's reoccurring, that you actually never believe will come true, versus a goal, like, is something that you will actually work towards. So I think people say they have goals that are actually wishes. Their goal is to do something, but they're not overly dedicated to it, or they just, they actually don't have the confidence that they'll actually get there. So, because the thing is with goals, if it was easy, everyone would achieve their goals. Everyone would be awesome and a billionaire and changing the world, and we'd all have a bunch of Gandhis everywhere. But that's not the case. So we have to say that goals are, a challenge we're committing ourselves to. And with that, that means, so if everyone could do it, everyone would achieve their goals. So what it takes to achieve a goal is to know that you are going to have to go against the norm. So if you want your goal to be to travel the world, okay, for a year of your life. So that means the year prior, you're going to have to go against the norm and refuse every single, like not every single, but like the majority of going out to eat or whatever, you have to save every dollar. So what does it look like to save all your money to be able to spend it while you're traveling? Like you're going to have to miss out on some, going shopping or like, going out to eat or drinking or whatever, or, you have to, let's say you want to lose weight. So you're going to have to learn to wake up because you hate working out after work. So you have to learn to wake up and work out at 5 or 6 a.m. every single morning. Like you have to understand that, like, I think if you're going to make a goal that you are going to be okay with, people are going to question you. You're going to have to say no to people. You're going to have to do your own thing and not do the norm. And that's totally okay. It's almost like you're going to have to be okay with letting your life get out of balance. It's not going to be a perfectly balanced journey in order to achieve your goal, because if it was easy and all balanced and all in harmony, then like I said, everyone would be able to achieve all their goals so easily. So like that's step number one, I think, is coming to terms with you are going to have to be a little, like, I mean, not to use, often negative terms, but not, I guess, like obsessive, or just very crystal clear with exactly what you want. I guess that's another tip too, is you have to be like, not that you want to get healthier in the new year. No, I plan on drinking a gallon of water every single day. And then with that, I'm going to get a literal gallon and I'm going to do whatever it takes, whether it's putting lemon in it or whatever, and just making sure I have reminders on my phone to literally chug it all day long. Like you have to be so specific that you can see it in your head as if it's already happening in your life. It's already real. You're already like let's go back to the traveling the world thing. So you can see yourself in Paris eating a croissant underneath the Eiffel Tower right now. So that means from here on, every day, you have to be a little crazy about it and say, what did I do today to get me closer to getting to sit underneath the Eiffel Tower and eat a Paris? So then you work yourself backwards. So to get there, I'm going to need to afford the plane ticket. So to afford the plane ticket, I'm going to need to save this amount of money. Then you keep working backwards. And then you get all the way to your step one to get all the way up to the top goal. And that way you have a plan of action every single day. Because if you're waking up and you know you want to go to Paris, but you have no idea how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, any detail, you have nothing to work for. Therefore, you never get it done during your day. But if you wake up and you know today's the day that I'm going to look at flights and I'm going to do 30 minutes of Duolingo to learn French, then that is getting you closer to your goal. It's something to check off. It's something to feel like you're actually getting done. That's, you have to get a little obsessive about it. You have to, break away from any kind of norm to achieve that goal. So let's go back. So again, so you have to kind of break the norm, be crystal clear, make a map of the exact thing you want, and oh yeah, be patient. It does not happen. Most really long-term goals that can last you for a while, whether it's your lifetime or for a certain long time or period of time. The longer you want that goal to last, the longer you're going to have to work for it, in my opinion. So if you want to travel for a year, you're going to have to work for it for maybe a year, if not more, that kind of thing. So those are my 3 little tips on goal setting.
Wow, I love those. I don't think I've never considered that, the breaking away from the norm thing. That's true, and I think that's actually, well, I don't know if it's the biggest obstacle, but it's maybe a big contributing obstacle to why people don't stick with their goals, because you're trying to make these little changes that feel so new to you, and then everyone else is like, "Why are you doing that?" Or "What do you even
Exactly.
care about that for?"
Yeah. I think that's a huge one. I think people are kind of like, you have to prepare yourself that people are going to look at you and be like, "Huh, yeah, you think you're going to travel for a year." Like people are just, because that's not their goal, or they don't have the mind to create that big of a goal. But you have to believe that, anything is possible. But what my mom always says, this is a quote from my book, I quoted her. She's like, you can do anything, you just can't do everything. So like you can conquer anything, but it has to be that one thing. So you have to know that for the next year, if you want to conquer this one thing of traveling, so many other things might have to leave your daily routine, your life, in order to conquer that one goal. And it'll be worth it. And know that, don't get overwhelmed, because you have a lifetime. So while you are conquering this one goal, once that goal is conquered, you'll move on to the next goal. And, we kind of need to find harmony in the unbalanced, because I think life is never ever going to be perfectly balanced. We're always going to have one area of life, because I think we have about like 7 different huge areas of life. One of them almost always is going to be unbalanced, and that is okay, because we're human and we're allowed to change. We're dynamic. So if we want this one goal, don't get overwhelmed that you think, oh my gosh, I'm totally like, oh, I'm doing so bad with all my friends and family because I'm so, set on traveling, whatever. That's okay. You're not perfect. You're not supposed to be, killing every area of life all at once. So if you let yourself have a little grace and let go of trying to be perfect, the goals are actually easier than you think. It's our minds that tell us we're not capable of it because, people are going to judge us for wanting to travel. That's such a crazy goal. Or, people are going to get upset with us because we're not being the perfect friend right now because we have other goals or we're trying to chase crazy dreams. But just remember, it's okay.
In keeping with this same thought, and also considering the way I think you kind of mentioned that you've dealt with things like stress and anxiety. So how do you manage to stay motivated along the way when you do have goals that are so far away,
Right.
like
That
from
is
actually being completed?
absolutely. That is a fantastic question, because I think motivation is kind of a silly thing. I think like motivation comes and goes. So when we have a goal or, a desire or whatever, there's no really motivation. It's just kind of like ambitiousness, and like you just have to kind of get up and do it. You just got to be strong and find a source of inspiration more than like motivation, because motivation is more created. And so something that I do as far as like ways to keep, like, so let's say if you have a goal a year from now and you want to keep working on it day by day, but it seems so far away, is literal little interval goals to get you there. So I think, like, let's say in 2 months you save a certain amount of money and you have done A, B, and C to get you closer to your final goal. You need to celebrate. You need to do, whether it's finally letting yourself, break away from totally being so dead set on this goal, or letting yourself have a mini trip, whether it's a road trip or something, or have something to look forward to and make mini goals along the way so that you can keep this momentum going. Because definitely when something is so far away, we can lose motivation in a minute. Like everyone who, it's always such a joke that by December, you're nowhere even close to when you made that New Year's resolution, because it's a new year. So your resolution is to change something about yourself that whole entire year. Well, everyone, they all make the joke that people fall off really easily because a year is a long time and a lot can happen in a day. You could change your goal within a year. So I think interval goals, interval celebrations, acknowledging that you are on your way, that you've made progress, that kind of thing can really, really set the tone for your momentum to keep going. So, or maybe like along with that, kind of having inspiration all around you. So, like, for example, I have a vision board where I keep pictures of all my favorite places in the world. And I look at that every day and my heart kind of almost like literally aches. I'm like, wow, I want to literally jump into that picture right now and go back. So seeing that every day, that's kind of like a little fire underneath me to say, okay, I need to work towards this. I need to go back. Or so kind of keeping inspiration around you and keeping little tiny goals that can get you there to acknowledge and say, like, I've made progress. I'm getting closer. This is still something so big that I want, that kind of thing. Hopefully that's helpful.
What do you consider to be your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment. Oh my. That is a great question. My biggest accomplishment was the combined many accomplishments as great. Like, I guess I don't know if this is a fair way to answer, but I think it's true for me that my biggest accomplishment was maybe the first time I got a paragraph of a DM on Instagram telling me that me being positive on stories or something made their day. And then after that, I got a message saying, "Wow, your workout totally kicked my butt today." And then every so often when I get those, I still, like, 2 years out from now, I still kind of cry and I'm like, "Wait, what? I'm making this impact? A girl who never had a voice, never had a big impact on anyone or any, like sport group, clique group, anything is finally like helping people and they're from all over the world. What?" So I think my biggest accomplishment is following a goal, following a dream that I had because I had plenty of people, not plenty, but I had a handful of people make fun of me when I started my Instagram 2.5 years ago. I had some guys tease me, and I felt super worried about it, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm throwing myself out there," and then soon enough, I saw one by one more people of my childhood and, like, people that I went to high school with were following me, so I got super I've had my ups and downs of, like, insecurities about it, like, "Holy crap, I'm throwing my whole life out there because I know if I do, I could help just one person in the smallest way. But by doing that, I also have hundreds of people seeing a really raw version of Caroline, which is scary. But when I got that confirmation that that one person did actually benefit, it made it all completely and utterly worth it. And it gave me all the fuel and the energy and the zest to, because that's my word I like to use, is zest, to keep going and to know that that is what my business is. That is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I was able to be a friend and pull someone up today and help them out, because at the end of the day we all need someone to hold our hand at times and help us get up a little bit. It's completely and utterly human. It's not this, really thing we need to hide from or feel like ashamed if we're having a bad day and we don't even know why. It's completely normal. So when someone told me, like, "You helped me today," or "You inspired me today," "You made me sweat today," "I made this recipe today and it was so delicious," hearing this made me feel better about myself today. Like, it still, like, shocks me that I have that I can help people like that. So that was probably my biggest accomplishment, and it still is today when I know that I help someone.
Okay, now this is a bit of a selfish question that I'm interested in because earlier you mentioned that so your father's Italian and you grew up with the sort of, or at least now what you have found is that the Mediterranean style diet is what works for you. So yeah, I'm just curious about how the impact of that Mediterranean lifestyle has influenced your own life. What is it like growing up with that? And also, I imagine that's quite a unique factor for you. If you grew up in Columbus, Ohio, not many other people have that same sort of upbringing, right?
Yes. No, I am so, so blessed with the fact that my dad is from Rome and my whole entire dad's side's from Rome and they don't even speak English. So it's always a struggle every year to brush up on my Italian. But um, yeah, the Mediterranean diet, the Mediterranean lifestyle, everything about it is everything I believe in. My logo, my brand is lemons. It's based off the Mediterranean. It's really a huge part of how I define myself. When I started, like, getting a little bit older, every time I'd go to Rome, I'd kind of in Italy, I'd notice, because I've been all over Italy, I'd notice kind of the lifestyle they lived. I started to pay attention, and they walk everywhere, and they are so they have such a strange personality because they are so slow, yet so they have, like, really they go really, really fast to get places, but then they're really slow to enjoy the experience. So they do kind of have, like, this crazy mentality, this very strong mentality, like, let's rush in the car and the traffic to get to the place. But then once they're there, once they're at their meal, once they're at, the park or wherever they're going, they're really there. They are really good at being present. They don't believe in time is wasted when the conversation goes on for 3 hours. that is so much more valuable than anything else, than having worked an extra hour or having cleaned an extra hour. They're very chill about that. They believe in human connection, which is just something that I think makes them live longer, that makes them healthier. And I think, having been to Italy so much, that I know a lot of Americans think it's funny how much Italians are obsessed with food. They're so obsessed with, the Italian Sunday night dinner or whatever. And it's true. Yeah, they love their food, which is very fair because their food is absolutely amazing, but they love the conversation, the experience. They love the more people at the dinner table, the more whole that experience feels. They love more mouths to feed. They love the more people, the longer the conversation's going to go. That is what they're really, really into. And I think that is something that's really, really lost in the American culture, where I feel like with DoorDash and he's at soccer practice, okay, and he's at my mom, until the divorce happened, instilled that we, as much as she could, we all sat down to dinner. And that is just something that that is something I think is just so important. I think we all need to, and that's what I think really makes them live longer and have a healthier lifestyle and make them have a healthier relationship with food. They're not ones to, granted, like, globalization is happening. America's culture is being put into all the cultures in the world now. So I'm sure, yes, things are changing. But when I was little, I used to notice this way more, that, they don't sit in front of TVs. They sit in front of people. People, they don't like to eat alone. They like to eat with people, because it's all about connection. It's time to converse. And they get made fun of, and it's so true. They go and have a coffee every 2 hours during, the workday. They literally have a coffee break. And it's not even, the coffee is literally 2 sips. So why they do that? It's not about the caffeine. The Italians, trust me, their personalities, they don't need the caffeine. They want that human connection. They want to take a break. Where are they in the day? They want to, they're not so, granted, yeah, their what is that word? Their economy is not the best, okay? But their lives are, very, very healthy. They know how to relax during the day. They know how to turn off their minds at night. They know how to connect. So that lifestyle is just, in my mind, so healthy. The Mediterranean diet is one I'll always and forever stand by. I think every month there is a new diet that is so popular in America. And I've tried them all, and I'm not going to bash any of them. They all have their own interesting health, wondrous things, whatever. But I mean, the Mediterranean diet is the one diet that you can go anywhere in any restaurant and be able to order it, or that you can go and just enjoy it. I think it's such a healthy moderation diet. And that's the one thing about the Mediterranean I think is so important. It's all moderation. It's work in moderation. It's communication in moderation. It's eating in moderation. People get so freaked out that they're going to gain so much weight when they go to Europe because they're eating all the bread and the carbs. And how do the Italians not get fat? Because they eat pasta and bread at the same meal. Okay, but they only eat like a little bowl. They don't eat a massive American-sized bowl of pasta. They do it. When the tourists go to the city center and they eat at the tourist restaurants, they know to give Americans tourists what they want, which is a massive size of a serving. But my grandma, she's a grandma, so she's always telling me to eat more, how Italian grandmas are. But she gives me a normal portion at the end of the day. It's a normal bowl. They don't eat these massive amounts of pizza and pasta or whatever. They eat it. They enjoy it. They don't feel insanely guilty like we do, because heaven forbid we eat a piece of gluten. Oh my gosh, you're not going to die. They are just like, yep, we ate pizza. We're good. We're fine. Let's go to bed. Over here in America, we're like, oh my gosh, I ate gluten. Am I going to have to go for a run tomorrow? I can't believe I did that. Now I can't eat gluten for another week. I'm so fat. No, that kind of stress, over analyzing everything we do, did I get enough work done today? Oh my gosh, I talked to her for 3 hours. I wanted to get another hour of work in, like all that kind of stress and that anxiety of that we have in our culture. I don't see it in the Mediterranean culture, which is just something that I want to share with this world, and especially in America, is kind of bring light to that. So big fan of the Mediterranean.
That sounds so fascinating. I'm really looking forward to seeing how you can go about that, especially because you are someone who does have goals and you're bringing a voice to how you can want things and go after your dreams, but you don't have to get lost and frazzled along the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to get into some closing questions for the podcast now.
Okay.
The first one being, I heard you earlier mention that you are an Aries. Do you happen to know what your rising and moon sign are?
To be honest, I do not know. I wish I did, but I don't.
Oh, no worries. But you are an Aries. That's cool. I like that. What are 3 things that make you feel like your best self? These can be products or routines, anything.
3 things that make me feel like my best self. Okay, so honestly, a workout. No matter how small or intense, long or whatever, just a little movement, even if it's just a walk, that like truly like getting out of my space into fresh air, into a gym, into anything, and moving my body, feeling like I accomplished something for my health, 100% makes me feel like my best self. My coffee and a little pastry in the morning, like that is something I look forward to every single day. It's just like a ritual that begins my day, that centers me, that just, makes me feel like, you deserve this, all that kind of stuff. So a little tiny treat with my coffee. And so my coffee in the morning, and then human connection that's not small talk. Like after a conversation that was about maybe like, all like nothing to do with like the weather, talking about like real like issues or ideas or things we have in common, like a conversation that leads to something where we both gained something. We both, it grew from it. We both expanded our minds, opened up our minds. A conversation like that, or just, pure laughter, not just, kind of, hey, cool. Okay, have a great day. Bye. Those kind of little conversations, meaningless ones. Definitely those kind of things are the things that make me feel my best self.
That speaks to me so much. So much. I cannot stand small talk. I'd rather not have it. Like,
No,
I don't want to do
it's not
that.
necessary. I like, even at like the cash register, I'm always like, so, let's talk about something more than just how's your day? Because I know you saying good, thanks is BS. So, yeah.
What is the best piece of advice that anyone has ever given you?
Oh, my Lanta. Okay. Let's see here. The best piece of advice anyone's ever given me. I think it was my mom's piece of advice that I said earlier. It's where you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Where you can be ever you want to be. Just please remember that you are human, in that you are allowed to, you only can do one thing at a time, that you can't just do it all. You don't have to be it all, and that your worth is not by what you do. It's who you are. It's not, your worth is not a grade or a statement balance or, the numbers or any numbers, anything like that. There's no way to measure your worth. It's in who you are. The more you are yourself, the more worth you are. Like the more you can be yourself, the better human you are. Has nothing to do with a number or a level of achievement or anything like that.
What is a podcast, a book, a movie, or any sort of resource that has inspired you and that you would recommend to listeners?
Good question. Well, I'd definitely recommend this podcast, but the listeners already know that. Honestly, so I think it was just because of where I was in life. But I freshman year of college, I commuted to a branch campus of OSU. So it was a 50-minute commute there and then a 50-minute back. So it was a long commute. And I downloaded the book You Are a Badass by Jen Sincerno. I think that's how you say her last name. And I had it on audio. And I just listened to it on repeat, literally to the point where I was like quoting her from her own book like 3 or 4 times that semester. And when you really, really listen to the stories, they are absolutely amazing. So that book, I definitely recommend. And then I also love the podcast called Witchy Wellness by Lauryn. I love her podcast.
What is your favorite food?
Oh gosh, everyone always asks me this.
Or favorite food at the moment.
At the moment, thank you. That's an easier question. Favorite food at the moment? Well, I'd probably say, I know this is going to sound so strange, but I'm like a total cheese person. I love cheese so much. And I made a bunch of cheese boards during like the holiday season, like during Christmas time. And I got obsessed with goat Gouda cheese from Trader Joe's. Random, I know, but I love that stuff. I eat like chunks of it at a time. So cheese. Mediterranean diet. What am I going to say? I'm definitely not dairy free.
If you could have dinner with one person who is living or dead, who would it be?
I've always heard this question and I've never taken the time to think about it. Ooh, great question. Grr, I don't know. I'd have, oh gosh, I don't want to get all sentimental, but now I think about it. I would have a dinner with my Aunt Erin. She died, now it's 3 years now, from liver cancer. Suddenly, like, she died within 8 months. And if she could see where I am today, and I think she had been to 88 countries by the age of 50.
What?
Yeah, she was the biggest inspiration ever to me. And I never took the time to realize that until she's gone, which is, I think we do that so often with amazing figures in the world. We often don't recognize how awesome they are till they're gone, which is sad, but also like kind of awesome too, to be like, wow, they can keep living, because you keep realizing more and more about them as you think about them now that they passed away. But she was so cool. She took me so many cool places, and she would always look for antique charms everywhere she went. And now I realize why, because everyone wants to buy something to remember their amazing trips. If you love to travel, you know how awesome that is to have like a piece of memory with you, because you can never relive that same trip. But she would always look for antique charms, and I'd be stuck with her in a jewelry store for like 2 hours. I'm like, really? Can we go to the beach now? Like, come on. Like, I was like 15. I'm like, why are we looking at charms? And now I have a charm bracelet, from her, because she gave it to me when I was little, of all these places she has been to. And wow, if I could tell her like, hey, I want to be just like you, and I want to travel the world, and so many things you taught me I'm trying to do right now. And I think she'd like a lot of new people in my life that I've made friends with, because they're a lot like her. And I don't know, I just wish I could talk to her again and tell her where I am today, because she was my godmother and my aunt. So that's who I'd talk to. Not super climatic or super huge important person, but yeah.
Just because she's not famous, that doesn't mean she's any less important. Yeah, she sounds so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know about her. You just made me want to get to know her.
Right? Exactly. Like, she was she was awesome. She was crazy. But now that I look back, I'm like, 88 countries by like 50? That woman, like, yeah, she was a nurse practitioner. So this is what I'm talking about when you're like, go crazy with your goals. She only had dogs, and so she wasn't married. So she would work literally 10-hour shifts for like 1 or 2 months at a time. And then she'd take like a month or a month and a half off. So that's kind of extreme, right? Like, she would do crazy extremes to make her passions possible, her goals and her dreams possible. So she would, put her head down, put in the work, and then she would go travel from Rome to Greece to Turkey. And all of a sudden, like, it's like, yeah, Aunt Erin's gone for a month, and we got used to it. Like, people like started to realize, like, wow, this girl can really travel. We need to ask her. And then she, like, I don't know. So like that is an example today of like what, like, she is a motivation or an inspiration to me to put in the work, because then it's so possible to go do your dreams.
Wow. Okay, and what's next for you?
What's next? What's next for me is to find my home outside of Columbus, Ohio. So it's getting my business financially stable in, hopefully, in a very reasonable amount of time. That's like what's really next, is doing something that is me and not what everyone else is doing. But if I'm being honest, everyone needs some income. So deciding how I'm going to be financially stable, and as soon as I am, or as soon as I can figure out how, is making that big leap of faith, because I've never left Columbus to live for more than about 2 months, because I've lived in Rome here and there for like a month or two, but I've never done anything more than that. So I am ready to, it's really hard, so because I have really deep roots now that I've been here 22 years, but I am so ready to be inspired again, because I feel like I can't find it here anymore. I've kind of gotten the most I can out of Columbus. So what's next is finding exactly what I want my brand to be, to get financially well and to feel like I'm serving the best I possibly can. And then from that, I definitely want to fly and go, literally fly somewhere that's not Columbus and go move. So that's what's next for me.
You echoed everything that I'm thinking so many times. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times you're just, I mean, maybe different location, change the name here, but like,
yeah,
everything.
We're a little two-piece mods.
So lastly, where can people find you?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram, as we've noted, that I'm Caroline Franco on Instagram. And then I am really working on my YouTube channel. So I upload weekly, sometimes twice a week, to my YouTube channel. So you can get a little bit more of like the real stuff, like no pretty pictures, because Instagram has to be all pretty to stand out. But that's like the real day-to-day life of how I'm starting a business right out of college, where I'm traveling, all that kind of stuff, all my workouts and food and stuff. So I'm on YouTube, and you can sign up on my website. You can find weekly, sign up for my weekly emails, which gets like you into giveaways and details more of like what's coming, and get exclusive stuff. If I'm working with any brands, I can get certain discount codes and stuff. So those are some fun places to find me.
Woohoo. All right. Thank you so much, Caroline. This has been incredible.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad I got to talk to you, and I'm really excited for everyone else to hear this and just be expanded by what's possible.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited too. Very grateful.
What did you guys think of this episode with Caroline? It trips me out a little bit when I talk to a guest and I feel like they are me, but not me. I could relate to so many of her experiences growing up. I thought it was interesting that the thing that she knows that she missed most when she was a kid was having a friend. So now that's her intention with building her brand and her business, to be a friend. It's admirable. As I'm in this phase of intentionally seeking to slow down, I'm considering what Caroline said about her Roman family and how they prioritize their relationships and are so good at being present in the moment, which is definitely something I can always improve on. If you like what you heard from Caroline, then definitely check out her YouTube channel. I have a deep appreciation for vloggers and video makers, as that is just untapped territory for me. But her vlogs are fun, and she really is a what you see is what you get kind of person in the best way. If this episode brought you any enjoyment, then please subscribe so that you will be in the loop for when future episodes are released. Also, head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the podcast. And as always, I love to hear what you guys think of the episodes. So shoot me a message, post it on your Insta story, leave a comment, anything. I'm signing off for today. Have a good rest of your week. I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.